Okay, readers, we are back with The Tale of Despereaux by Kate D. Camillo with permission from Scholastic Publishing. When we left off, Roscuro the rat had just realized he really now knew he needed to go up into the light. There's these moments of light flooding in on him, whether it's the dungeon door open or the match being lit in his face by Gregory the jailer. And this exposure to light is sort of invoking this obsession with it. So chapter 19 is called Light, Light Everywhere. Imagine, if you will, having spent the whole of your life in a dungeon. Imagine that late one spring day, you step out of the dark and into a world of bright windows, polished floors, winking copper pots, shining suits of armor, and tapestries sewn in pure gold. Imagine. And while you are imagining things, imagine this too. Imagine that at the same time the rat steps from the dungeon and into the castle, a mouse is being born upstairs. A mouse reader who is destined to meet the light-bedazzled rat. But that meeting will occur much later, and for now the rat is nothing but happy, delighted, amazed to find himself standing in so much light. "I," said Roscuro, spinning dizzily from one bright thing to the next, "I will never leave. No, never. I will never go back down to the dungeon. Why would I? I will never torture another prisoner. It is up here that I belong." The rat waltzed happily from room to room until he found himself at the door to the banquet hall. He looked inside, and he saw gathered there King Philip, Queen Rosemary, the Princess P, 20 noble people, a juggler, 4 minstrels, and all the king's men. This party, reader, was a sight for a rat's eyes. Roscuro had never seen happy people. He had only known the miserable ones. Gregory the jailer and those who were consigned to his domain never laughed or smiled or clinked glasses with the person sitting next to them. Roscuro was enchanted. Everything glittered, everything. The gold spoons on the table and the jingle bells on the juggler's cap, the strings on the minstrel's guitar, and the crowns on the king's and queen's heads. And the little princess, how lovely she was, how much like light itself. Her gown was covered in sequins that winked and glimmered at the rat. And when she laughed, and she laughed often, everything around her seemed to glow brighter. "Oh, really," said Roscuro, "this is too extraordinary. This is too wonderful. I must tell Botticelli that he was wrong. Suffering is not the answer. Light is the answer." And he made his way into the banquet hall. He lifted his tail off the ground, he held it at an angle, and he marched in time to the music that was being played on the guitars. The rat reader invited himself to the party. Chapter 20, A View from the Chandelier. There was in the banquet hall a most beautiful and ornate chandelier. The crystals that hung from it caught the light of the candles on the table and the light from the face of the laughing princess. They danced to the rhythm of the minstrel's music, swaying back and forth, twinkling and beckoning. What better place to view all this glory and all this beauty? There was so much laughing and singing and juggling that no one noticed as Roscuro crawled up a table leg and onto the table, and from there he flung himself onto the lowest branch of the chandelier. Hanging by one paw, he swung back and forth, admiring the spectacle below him, the smells of the food, the sound of the music, and the light. Oh, the light! Amazing, unbelievable. Roscuro smiled and shook his head. Unfortunately, a rat can hang from a chandelier for only so long before he will be discovered. This would be true at even the loudest party. Reader, and do you know who it was that spotted him? You're right. The sharp-eyed Princess P. "A rat!" she shouted. "A rat is hanging from our chandelier!" The party, as I have noticed, was loud. The minstrels were strumming and singing, the people were laughing and eating, and the man with the jingle cap was juggling and jingling. No one in the midst of all this merriment heard the P. Well, no one except Roscuro. Rat. He had never before been aware of what an ugly word it was. Rat. In the middle of all the beauty, it immediately became clear that it was an extremely distasteful syllable. Rat. A curse, an insult, a word totally without light. And not until he heard it from the mouth of the princess did Roscuro realize he did not like being a rat. He did not want to be a rat. This revelation hit Roscuro with such force that it made him lose his grip on the chandelier. The rat reader fell. And alas, he fell right directly into the queen's bowl of soup. Next time we will read chapter 21, The Queen's Last Words.